I'm Chris McDonough, a retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room. Aloha, everybody, and welcome to the interview room. I'm grateful that everybody is here tonight. We've got a lot to cover. The name of this program tonight is 40 Minutes. And there's a reason for that. We're going to connect the dots towards the end of the program tonight. I want to thank everybody for subscribing, for believing in us. All of our members as well, and of course our mods who work so very hard. We can't thank you. Miss Sophia, Maui Girl, Mimi J2, Miss TJ, and of course Four Sons Mom. We're so grateful for each and every one of you tonight. To our friends around the world, outside of North America, thank you for staying up late. Thank you for keeping it classy, and I promise you tonight will be riveting. Tonight's topic, I want to give you a heads up, is going to be very sensitive, and it may be very hard for some of you. So I just want to give you an opportunity. We're going to talk about SA, and so if this is a trigger for you, I want you to please consider maybe catching this at a later time, but if not, would love to have you here as well. The information you're going to hear tonight from our special guest, and our special guest tonight is Jeannie, who is Don Wells' stepsister. Dillan, let's bring Jeannie in here for a second. Hi, Jeannie.
Hi.
Okay, so if everybody, I hope you can see this wonderful survivor. And we're going to hear from her. You're going to hear her story. And so I want everybody to remember what you're going to hear tonight. Jeannie, you've already given all of this information right when Summer went missing to TBI. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. You called them and gave them all this information. So they've had it for how many months now?
What's it been? 2 months, I guess.
Okay.
It's like the second day after she went missing is when I called.
Okay. So day number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So folks, this is about Summer Wells. This brave woman who is here with us tonight also brought her daughter with her for some support, and that's Miss Trish. So if we can bring Trish in. Okay. Hi, Trish.
Hi.
And I love your pictures, by the way. And out of respect for you girls and the family, we thought it would be best just to use the audio here tonight. In our chat tonight, folks, we want to remind you to please be considerate and classy. I want to tell our mods, if there are anybody in here that cannot follow those rules, you have 100% of my support to send them into the atmosphere. This platform tonight is not about speculation. It is about facts. These sweet women in front of us tonight, Jeannie specifically, has a story to tell, and it is truthful and factual. So I just want to refresh for everybody what we know about Summer to date. She has been missing since June 15. The first 911 call came in at 6:23 approximately p.m. TBI and FBI Hawkins County sheriffs are still actively investigating this case. It has not gone cold, and to quote Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, everything is still on the table and everybody is still a person of interest. In my opinion, there are three possibilities for review that will help us understand the possibility to probability. The first is an abduction theory. The second, is this an accident or cover-up? And the third, could she have walked away? So with that said, I want to talk about victimology for about Summer and her surroundings and her environment, and why Jeannie's courage to come forward in the very beginning, the second day. And Jeannie and I, we've spoken a bunch, for the last, I think, 30 days at least, right?
Yeah, we have.
Yep. And she's put up with me for at least 30 days, now. But while discovering some victimology on Summer, we also discovered that past behavior that might impact Summer. And that is a history of SA in the family. Why is this critical, you may ask? Because past behavior involving children could come into play with future behavior about children. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Neglect, drug and alcohol abuse, SA, physical abuse, mental abuse. So the courage that Jeannie has and the strength, day 2, you're going to hear it. And I am so proud of her and proud of Trish. Trish came out early and made some statements, and we're going to talk about some of those as well as we go along here. But first, I think it's important to hear Jeannie's side of what's taking place here in her life. And I hope some of you get so much strength from hearing her story and send her the love that she needs and deserves. Since, how old were you, Jeannie? When did this actually start?
Well, from my memory, it was about five years old.
Okay. So let's walk through and unpack some of the things that you remember. And I want to start with giving us an understanding of the dynamics of the families at that time.
I'm super nervous. Sorry.
No problem. Take your time. And again, your job is to breathe and take your time. Okay. This is a very slow process. So whatever you feel comfortable with, you go there. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the dynamics of the family, you mean in terms of relationships, like how we got along, what the living,
and how did the two families merge? Yes.
Yeah. So my mom married Donnie's dad. I'm so nervous. And we lived in this little trailer in the beginning. I don't remember how many of us were in there. And then they bought a house in Roy. And that's kind of where everything started for me, from my remembering. Everything was when we moved to that house. In fact, the night well, actually, we hadn't fully moved in yet. There was no beds or anything, but, you know, some of the kids wanted to go stay at the new house. And so Donnie and I believe it was my other brother, I know. I don't think there was anybody else, but that was the first memory. I begged and begged because I wanted to go and stay at the new house. And that was the first night that I remember. It was a bad memory, but stuff starting was that night.
And so kind of as you feel comfortable, when we first talked, I asked you about grooming ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through what he utilized as a grooming tactic?
So after that initial time and we got moved in and everything, it just kind of started where Donnie would try to play these little games with me. He had the one game where he had this idea. It was kind of like a dare game, I guess, where he would put his hand up my pant leg and, you know, he would go so far and I would dare him to say stop before he got to my private, you know, and every time I never liked it. I never liked doing it. I never, you know, did it with him. You know, and he would get halfway up my leg and I'd just tell him, stop, you know, and he'd say, no, you can't do that. You know, we got to go further. And, you know, and so I'd be like, fine. And then, so that's where that went. It was just first started out as that kind of game.
So you were 5.
Yeah, 5.
And so he used a old trick to where he would ask you to say stop. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then he would continue forward until you said stop, but by then he was touching you intimately.
Yeah, he never took the stop. It was never a thing. It was always, you can't say stop.
So
that wasn't allowed.
Okay, so that was a control mechanism for him.
Yeah.
Because once you did say stop, he would continue either way and tell you couldn't say stop.
Yeah.
And what's the age difference when you're 5, if you remember?
He'd be 12, about 12, I think, 12, 13.
Okay. Now, when you were 5, about approximately how often, and by the way, where would you be when this would occur? The first night was in the house, and you remember that first night you told me.
Yep, it was in my parents' bedroom. We were sleeping on the floor.
Okay. And where was he sleeping, and where were your parents, if you remember?
The first night we stayed?
Yes.
My parents didn't stay that night. They just let us come and stay in the house because we weren't moved in yet.
So all the kids in this blended family had an opportunity to go stay at the new house that was just bought. Is that correct?
Yeah, in a sense. We begged to go.
Okay.
We were excited.
Yeah, which kids do. And a 5-year-old, I mean, who wouldn't want to be with their siblings, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now walk us through the second time he assaulted you.
So the second time would have just been when the little game started. And that kind of went on for a while. You know, and then there was the other things in between, but the what I recall was the dare game was the big one that always happened in the beginning.
Okay. Walk us through that. And by the way, none of this is your fault, right? I know you and I have talked about this at length, but I want you to keep remembering that principle, okay?
Okay.
So walk us through that, the dare games.
Well, it was any time that, you know, I'd be playing in my room and he'd come in, he'd go to the bathroom and he'd come in. In the beginning, it wasn't all the time, but I would say it was at least a daily basis, or maybe 3-4 times a week at least. And that's, you know, all I can say is that's what happened in the beginning. And then he would always tell me, you know, at some point I start to ask him, I'm like, why do we got to play this game? Like, I don't like it. And, you know, so I think he got to the point where I was getting concerned about it. So that's when he started telling me, you can't tell anybody. And I asked him, well, why not? And he says, well, if you tell, then I'll die. And, you know, and then it progressed to not only would he die, but everybody in the family would die. And so, you know, I didn't want him to die. I didn't want anybody to die. So that's where that went.
And at this point, you're 5, and how long does it? About how many times would he try and come in and assault you once you guys moved into the house collectively? Did you guys have separate bedrooms? Obviously.
We did. There's only 2 bedrooms, but we worked it out, kind of the girls in one, the boys in the other type of thing.
Okay. And
about...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Ladies first. My wife would never forgive me.
It's okay. I lost my train of thought. I'm just nervous.
No problem. Take your time.
So yeah, you can go ahead.
You know, at 5 years old, you don't have the emotional capability to process the trauma that's taking place.
No, definitely not.
And so the abuser, you know, typically will measure that and take advantage of that through control mechanisms, either verbal, you know, either threatening or physically. Did he ever hold you down or physically, you know, try, or were you just so scared that you couldn't move? Mm-hmm.
You mean during the first game?
Yes.
He didn't really hold me down or anything like that. He was kind of forceful in the fact that it was going to happen.
Sure.
But you know, as far as that, no.
Okay. Now, so you turned 6. Walk us through that year.
So when I was about 6, well, it was more 6 to 7 is when he started the more aggressive abuse. Mm-hmm. Coming into my room.
And he's 13 at this point.
Yeah, 13, 14 by then. Mm-hmm.
And this is the time also that Mary reports that he and 2 other boys tried to physically rape her. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And they actually wanted to file charges on him, but your stepdad kind of pulled that back. Is that correct?
Yes. She actually filed charges. She went and did a statement, but
Okay.
my dad, made her go drop the charges.
Okay. And so now between the ages of 6 and 7, walk us through what you remember.
So then it just started where he was coming into my room at night instead of doing this more during the day. It was more at night. And he was getting more aggressive in the stuff he would do to me. I don't really want to get too into it because I probably can't talk about it. But
Yeah, it's not necessary. I support you 100%. Go ahead.
And it just, it was awful. I would try to do things like wear several pairs of pants to bed. I remember I tried to put up a booby trap one time, and I strung some yarn across the door and I put soda cans on it, so that I could at least wake up, or in hopes that maybe he would wake up some of the other family members. And at this time, I had the room was just mine, because I think Mary went and stayed with our biological dad for a little bit. And so I was just in the room for most of the time, unless somebody came to stay or whatever, by myself.
Okay. Let's move forward 8 and 9. And, oh, by the way, from 6 to 7, how often would he come into your room that night?
It was pretty much every night. If he was there, because there was some times when, he wasn't there, but he did live with us. I've heard people state that he wasn't there, but he did live with us for the majority of the time. He was enrolled in school. He went to school with Mary for years. Anyway, just, it was every night, practically. I remember that.
Okay. And did he ever get caught when you were, between that age group, if you remember?
Yeah, well, there was a couple of times, like one night when he was in my room doing stuff to me, my dad got up to use the bathroom, and the bathroom is just right across the hall from my room, and the door was open, and my dad came in and noticed that he was in there, and he came in, and Donnie just stood up really fast, and my dad said, "What are you doing?" And he just, "Oh, I was sleepwalking." And I'm sitting there thinking, I was just so happy because I thought he's going to get caught. This is going to stop.
Yeah.
And my dad just told him to go back to bed, and that was it.
Yeah, and that became to learned behavior, didn't it, later on? That he would utilize that excuse a couple other times.
Oh, yeah, he did. He used it a couple of times, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm just for clarity, I'm going to talk to the audience here. And by the way, you have a tremendous amount of support going on over here. Okay? And it's important for people to understand that, past behavior, the reason why they have registered sex offenders and why they don't register alcoholics, for an example, because registered sex offenders are just that. They are SA offenders, and they need to be monitored because these behaviors that they learn at a very young age ends up progressing up here in a fantasy, and it keeps projecting itself. So this is why it's critical to understand past behavior, which could be indicative of future behavior. And so at some point, somebody will pass over that threshold. And that's how, people, children, potentially could be taken. I've talked to many of them. If you want to see one of these guys at work, go watch Brandon Wilson, the interview I did with him. That was driven by deviant behavior, sexual deviant behavior. And eventually he got to a place where he made a decision, where he had to do something and take something. And that was the life of a 9-year-old boy by the name of Matthew Checky in Southern California. I was the case agent on that case. So if you don't understand that principle, then you're not going to understand why Jeannie is so important for Summer. Because the second day Summer was missing, Jeannie reflected on her own life experiences and picked up the phone. And she called TBI and reported that she's a survivor and told her story. And in my opinion, she's a hero who's done nothing wrong other than looking out for Summer and hoping that her story helps in finding where Summer could be. So let's walk through 9 and 10 now, if you remember.
Well, pretty much just from the time I was 6 or 7 up until he went to prison that first time, it was pretty much all the same routine. There was an incident where one of my friends stayed the night, and we had bunk beds, and I didn't think about it until it got bedtime, and I knew, because he came in every night, I knew there was a chance that he was going to come in. And I begged my friend to sleep on the bottom bunk, because the top bunk for Donnie was easier access, because he would be right there, and she wanted to sleep on the top so bad. And so I was like, okay, and so I let her sleep on the top, and sure enough, he came in, and he started doing stuff to her, and I woke up. She woke up. I woke up, and I kicked him really hard. I was so mad. And then he went out of the room, and we kind of just went back to sleep. And in the morning, my mom was making us all pancakes, and she was telling my mom, not in so many words, because, she was just saying, Donnie kept coming into the room last night, and my mom, I think she was a little suspicious, and she was just like, what for, and my friend just kept saying, well, I don't know, but, and I just kind of looked at her and gave her this look, like, just don't say anything, because it was just, we were supposed to keep quiet, you know. And so there was that incident, and then
So that was one of your girlfriends who spent the night.
yeah,
And
I think it was 5th grade.
and he also assaulted her.
Yeah, he did.
And
We did talk about it later, but it was just more of, you know, why did he do that to me? You know, and
right.
I didn't know what to say. It was, you know, I
Right.
felt bad that it had happened to her.
Right. Right. Now, you made a comment that you would wear multiple pairs of jeans. Did
Yeah.
did you? Yeah. So help us understand that. Why were you? What were you thinking?
I just didn't want him to touch me. You know, it was really painful,
Yeah.
and I hated it. I hated it. I just thought it would help, you know, prevent him from doing it.
Yeah. Take your time, okay?
Yeah.
You're a brave woman. You're a survivor. And I'm so grateful that you're choosing to tell the world about this man.
Well, and the reason that I wanted to do this interview, and initially me coming forward, was just in hope, you know, that to find Summer. And
I love you, Mom.
love you too.
Just take a breath.
You know, I never got to meet her, but she's still my niece, and she's still a 5-year-old little girl that was living under the roof with somebody who I believe is fully capable of foul play. And, you know, so I'm not looking for any fame. I hate any kind of attention like that. You know, I hate Facebook. It's just when I found out she was missing, I mean, I got to tell you, I just started crying. And I just felt like they needed to know, you know, and obviously I did. I called TBI, but the media has blown this out of proportion. But, you know, my intentions have always been for Summer, 100%.
Well, I'm going to also dovetail on what you just said, Jeannie. Had you not come forward, then nobody else would have known that this is a possibility for Summer. What if she's you, right? That's what you were thinking.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask all the naysayers, what do you know? This woman is a survivor. And you see, me going down this road when I started with Summer's case, I didn't know the depth of what you're telling everybody tonight. And neither did they. So, mods, I will not have anybody disrespect this woman. And if you don't want to be here on listening, then leave. It's that simple. Just leave. Okay? She's a survivor. you need to be over at that other place and listen. Good luck with that. But I will not let this woman be disrespected at all. I don't care if you don't like me. I could care less. Okay? But this woman deserves to be heard. And supported, period. Because she came forward the moment Summer disappeared. Some of you weren't even there that day. I wasn't there. I came 30 days later. So, Now, it came a place where he went to prison and you kind of had a break for a little while. Is that correct, Jeannie?
Yeah. When I was about 10 or 11,
okay,
he went to prison for close to 2 years. During that time, it was great,
Mm-hmm.
And then the very day that he got out, I wanted him to do good and be good, even with everything that he'd done to me, he was still my brother. And, everybody was talking about him getting out and starting a new life and everything was going to be better. And, I was happy for him for that. And my dad went and picked him up and brought him home, and everybody sat around the table and talked. And, I felt really good about it. I thought, he's changed, and that night, it happened again, the very night that he got back.
Tell people about that. That's an important story, because he likes to hide, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And so, I woke up to him doing stuff to me, and I wasn't going to have it anymore. I'd had these 2 years of freedom from him, and, I had tried to tell my parents in the past, and I just wasn't going to be a victim anymore. And so I went right into my parents' room, flipped on their light, and I just said it right out. I said, Donnie has been sexually, doing things to me, and I want it to stop. And they woke up and they're all confused, and they kind of asked me what was going on. I told them what was going on. My dad went to find him to talk to him, and he was just nowhere. He had ran and hid. And my dad went and found him out in the shed hiding, and came in, and they had a big talk. I stayed in the bedroom while him and my mom and Donnie talked. And my mom was really mad, and she wanted to press charges. And my dad he really downplayed it. He didn't think it was a big deal, and he didn't even want to go into further what actually happened. And that was it. And then
and that's his biological son.
Yes.
Yeah, and your mom is your biological mom. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yes. And so my dad told her, if you press charges, then we're getting a divorce. And right then my heart just sunk, and that put me in a bad position because I felt bad. It's like I was causing the problem here. And So, it kind of just went to that. My mom, she apologized to me, but, she wasn't in the position to, that couldn't happen.
Yeah, you were re-victimized all over again.
Yeah.
So, a couple things. Take a deep breath. I think we should slow down just for a second, okay? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Do you need can you get some water or anything? Do you want to, get some water or anything over on your side there?
I'm okay. I have some.
Okay. Okay. And now the good news is there's no. I don't think there's a statute of limitations in Utah on this, is there? That I can find.
No, there isn't.
Are you thinking about pressing charges, I hope? And you don't have to answer tonight. That's
yeah.
You don't have to. I shouldn't have asked you that question. I apologize.
Well,
okay?
That's a fine question to ask. Yeah, I thinking about pressing charges. I'm waiting. I've been kind of putting it off just because, hoping that there'd be some developments with Summer. I don't want to take the focus off her.
Sure.
But yeah, that's definitely in the works.
I would encourage you to empower yourself and do that. And, follow through as you feel most comfortable. This is your decision. I'm going to make a prediction that after tonight, he's going to do everything in his power to try to take your control. Okay? Don't give it to him. Do not give it to him. There's two separate issues here. Okay? First is what happened to you. Okay? That is a separate issue than what has happened with Summer. They are both equally important. Okay? You have the right, because you've been living with this 37 years, if I remember right.
Yeah.
You have every right in the world, Jeannie, to say, I'm a survivor and this is the reason why. And I can promise you, you are empowering a lot of women around the world right now by coming out tonight and being brave and strong. Do not let this man take that away from you. Okay? You have the momentum now. Keep going. Okay? Keep going. The investigators who are investigating Summer, they'll take care of that for you. Okay? But this is about you and what was done to you. Okay? And I applaud you, and I just think it's amazing that you have empowered yourself to get this courage to come and talk about this tonight. This took a lot of strength to come here.
It's been rough for me. It's really hard.
Yeah, because he's been out there just saying whatever he wants to say about you, about Trish, about Mary, about, family. But now, you heard your age 11, 12, your dad confronts him. There's your mom kind of goes, the last time we spoke, you kind of described it as nuts on him.
Yeah, I've never seen her that mad. She's a very quiet person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's start the hashtag Jeannie Strong. I just saw that come up. Let's start that hashtag Jeannie Strong. This is way to go, guys and gals. I love it.
There's another one that's hashtag Justice for Jeannie.
There you go. Justice for Jeannie.
I do want to thank everybody for their support. I try to stay off the social media and the YouTube because it's just really hard for me. But
Sure.
for the most part, it's positive, and
Look at all
it
the
has,
love here. It's
yes,
coming in. Jean, go ahead.
it has helped me tremendously to, you know, to deal with this.
Yes. Yeah, there's some great people that are in this community on this channel, you know, that will continue to support you, and we're going to make sure that Karen and I, you know, if you need anything, we're going to make sure that, you know, some of our connections will you know, we'll try to connect some of those dots. In fact, when I talked to Dean, you know, the other day or a week or two ago, he goes, you need a phone call? And I said, not yet. When she's ready, she'll let everybody know. And
Yeah,
so
it's a process.
it is a process, yes. And you're the survivor. So you take a deep breath and you process it as you feel comfortable. And there is no right or wrong time. It's when you feel that it needs to move forward, okay?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, if it's okay with you, what did you feel when you heard the call where he somehow thinks he's apologized?
Well, I thought that I would be more happy about it, I guess, hearing that. It was a relief. It was, I don't even know what I was thinking. I was happy.
Yeah.
But then, you know, I've heard other things come out of that. And so, you know, and then I also heard him apologize on one other channel. And the big thing that stuck out to me was he says, if I hurt Jeannie, I want to say I'm sorry. Well, what does he mean if? He did hurt me. You know, so there's that.
Yeah, and you did not marry your first cousin. I know that to be true, which he said. Okay.
No, that was it.
Right.
We're related by marriage down the line. There's no blood relation.
Yeah. You know, you just gave me a smile. You just gave me a smile listening to your laugh. Okay.
I don't even know why he is throwing these things out. And then there was another rumor that his sister said that, I mean, I don't know why they're throwing these things out. I don't know what the purpose is. Make me look bad, I guess. But, you know, saying that, well, Jeannie was pregnant at 13, and no, I was not. I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah. Well, and then that at 5 years old, you instigated it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I will say one thing. I never instigated it. I never wanted it to happen. I was never interested in, I did not like it, you know, and I think Donnie knew that because I never wanted to play the game, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's not your fault. That's exactly right. Because I understand the minds of these guys. Okay? It's never about you. Okay? It's about them. And it's about their sick fantasies with children. I mean, if we look at Summer, who's 5, that would be like Summer saying to a 12-year-old, yeah, let's have, sexual contact or intimate contact. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Yeah, so you're a hero to many, many survivors. And I will, this platform, for one, will never forget that. And, you know, what I think people have forgotten is you were a baby.
I was.
And you have lived this. And I'm not going to give your age, but forgive me. I think I already did by accident.
Yeah, you're fine.
By saying, you've been 37 years. You've been living with this pain.
Yeah.
And so, the day I can't obviously know how you feel, or how you have felt all this time. Okay. But I admire you when Summer, the next day you picked up the phone and called the authorities and say, I have some important information that's going to help you understand the man that has violated me. And
yeah, I didn't hesitate. That was one thing that I was not gonna let slip.
Yeah, and all these women, all you women listening out there, this is the time. I just saw a note come past about empowering you. This is the time. You know, I think Jeannie started a movement here to stand up to these guys, and I'm right with you, 100%. I am 100%, and I'm not trying, Bubs, to pour any wounds on anybody. In fact, if you were here in the beginning, okay, I gave enough warning to folks that this was going to be a very sensitive topic tonight. I am not concerned with how Dawn feels tonight. Okay, let's just put that on the record. I am concerned how Jeannie feels. Go ahead.
For anybody that is afraid to come out or has tried to come out, you know, and maybe came out with opposition and, you know, they need to know that it is a process, and, you know, you go through all these different emotions, and I just, in the beginning, I thought, I just can't do this. I can't handle it, you know. And there was days when I was down for days. And, you know, and it does get better and it gets easier. And I'm now at the point where it is emotional for me, but I'm not afraid anymore. You know, I'm not worried about being a victim. I'm not worried about what any of my family thinks. I know what happened. And, you know, even for these people that don't have support, believe it or not, you know, it does get better. And I would just tell people to hang in there. Don't give up. You know, even if you have those bad days, it does get better. And you do go through a process of anger and, you know, doubt and shame, and but you get past all that. And I just I never felt like I would get to that point once this all started, you know, and I thought it was going to be a little easier too, but it's helped me a lot, and I suggest anybody that's going through it to just go for it. You need to, for your your soul, you know? And you should, because it's not right. And, you know, these people shouldn't be getting away with this stuff. And, you know, it's sad that I didn't come out sooner, maybe, I guess. But, I mean, people will say that. But it's been difficult, and, you know, I'm coming out now, and I just wish we knew, you know, I want them to find Summer. I don't know, that's all. But anybody, if you're worried about it, just go for it and try to get help wherever you can. Even some of these people that are reaching out to me, they've messaged me and stuff, and I haven't responded, but I do read your messages, and it helps. It's a lot of support when you don't have a lot of support around you. So it's a good thing.
Trish, what do you think?
I completely agree. That, you know, if anyone is ever victimizing anyway, they should always come forward. But I do just want to say that.
You're the daughter of the year too, by the way. I just think your mom adores you, because, you know, when I first had a chance to, you sent me a text message. I don't know if you remember. You were like, "Is this that guy, Chris McDonough?" I'm like, who is this? And you were so supportive of your mom, and you continue to be. And there was even a time, I think, when you were a little girl, I mean, that he had you sit on his lap and touched you potentially on the outside of your clothing. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, he always was making me sit on his lap all the time. And my grandpa, he would get out of prison, and my grandpa would make me hug him. And at some point, I finally, I guess, was old enough to have my own voice, and I started saying no. And you know, I don't think that it went any further than him just touching me over the clothes or anything, because thankfully my mom was always there. Like, my grandma would babysit us when my mom was at work, and she would come to pick us up, and I would be on his lap, and she would just throw the biggest fit. And, you know, back then, obviously, I never understood, but, you know, I'm so grateful that she did that now. But touching on what she had said earlier, you guys don't even know, like, the hell that my mom has dealt with, and just by bottling this all up her whole life. And it's extremely hard to watch someone you love so much struggle. And I just want to say I'm just seriously so incredibly proud of her for being able to do all of this and to get to the point that she is today. And I mean, it is a difficult process. And, you know, I was sexually assaulted as a child as well. And, you know, I dealt with it privately, and it was difficult. So I can't even imagine how much, you know, how much all of this is affecting her and things like that. But I'm so incredibly proud of her, and she's just come so far, and I love her so much.
Love you too, Trish.
You two are very strong women and survivors. This is going to be a movement. I want
and
you.
And she's breaking the cycle, and I'm
yes.
just so thankful for that.
That you are breaking the cycle of SA. That's correct. And because these guys will never stop, by the way. They'll never stop. That's why they register them.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
And And that's why I've, quite frankly, I've had a full-time job, you know, with the Cold Case Foundation, because we see the results of it. And I just applaud you. The more you keep going. And Jeannie, I gave you a challenge. I want you to write a book, okay, and empower yourself in that book and help so many other survivors out there. I'm looking, I can tell you there are people around the world cheering you on, while simultaneously cheering for Finding Summer. Okay, you have come out of this as an advocate for Summer by saying what you have said, and that takes a tremendous amount of courage. You're an angel of strength, for lack of a description, and you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep moving forward, and don't let anybody take your power again, ever. Not this guy, anyway, and others.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
You're warriors. You're warriors. Oz just said you're warriors. I agree with her, 100%. So there came a time when you were, I think, 12, right? Where he was given an ultimatum to leave, and pretty much that was what happened. Am I? And correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
When did it end?
Oh, okay. Well, that's when it ended, because after that, I think just because I told, he stopped doing stuff to me after that.
And you have been, go ahead.
Well, and then at that point, off and on throughout the years, he was kind of in and out of the household after that. So it was better for me. Yeah.
So I'm just going to do a quick math calculation here for people that don't necessarily understand why this is so significant of how strong you are here and coming out to tell your story. If I take out of 365 days a year, and I just break that out, let's say we take 165 days off. If it was just 200 days a year, which I know it's more because you said it lasted for almost 7 years, or 7 years.
Yeah.
Almost every night. And I know you don't, you and I talked at length about the pain that's still with you, and we don't have to go there, out of respect for you, right? But if I just did 200 nights a year, that is over 2,400 times you were brutalized. Now,
yeah.
That's just at 200 evenings. Okay? Folks, this is what we're talking about. And Don comes out and says, well, I'm sorry for that. Well, the way I'm looking at this, okay, is that doesn't calculate correctly. So I'd like to see 2,400 times. 2,400 times. I think I said 1,400. 2,400 times. Okay? So I would like to see an abuser of children to man up. And now he called your dad, I heard. Is that correct?
That's what I heard from other family members, yes.
And he fully confessed about brutalizing you, didn't he?
Yes.
To your dad,
Yeah.
but not to you.
Not to me, no.
Trish
Besides
did it.
that apology on the other channel, no.
Yeah. And that apology now has turned into you instigated it, right? You know, we know how that works. Right?
Yeah.
Right. And this is the, you see, this is the pattern of behavior. And this is why it's important for us to do for me to have done the victimology on Summer. I would not have known about you had I not gone in reverse, pre-incident behavior, incident behavior, and post-incident behavior. So I started in the beginning and wanted to know about Summer and the family dynamics. And there you were. First Trish, the superhero daughter, and survivor.
Well, and I will say, sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're
you know, people call Trish a big mouth. They say these things, and you know, Trish is a very loud, outspoken person, but that doesn't mean that, you know, she's lying about things. That doesn't mean that, you know, she's been called, she's a big mouth and she says this and that. You know, anything that she's ever voiced out that, you know, on social media or anything, even in the past, you know, it's all been true. And people think she's being over dramatic and all this, and it's just not true. You know, she, you know, she's a very outspoken person, but everything that she said is true. I just want to throw it out there. I know it just bothers me.
In my opinion, the people that say that are just upset because I'm calling them out.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Absolutely. And you know, here's one of the things that I would keep in mind. Okay? When you know you're in the vein, as we say, as investigators, is when they start blaming you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That is a badge of honor. Okay? I can't tell you, you know, how many people are sitting in prison that I had the luxury of putting a set of handcuffs on and have, for the very moment that you do it, they go, what did I do? You say, well, you just earned yourself a matching set of bracelets. Okay? No deposit, no return. You do not collect Go or $200 at Go. Okay? Have a great evening. Okay? The fact that people are doing that tells you you're doing something right. Because there's, you know, dark and there's light in this world. You know, there are good people, bad people, but then there's evil people, and then there are really evil people. And, you know, I've sat down with the really evil ones and the evil ones, and then the bad ones, okay? Well, that category that they place themselves in is determined by the type of attack that they utilize. This is a classic, okay, case of anger, control, resentment, power. All of these principles come forward. Okay? Not in a behavioral analysis way, but they manifest themselves. Okay? I mean, think about this. He called me up and blamed you for being 5 years old and him molesting you. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's classic. And now he's on the, you know, the circuit, I guess this is what we'll call, Okay? And, it's all good. Don't worry about it. That was 40 years ago. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well,
he's got, whatever it is, 37 years ago, actually, and he's got that right.
well, and from my understanding, he's talking about suing me for defamation, and I mean, I welcome that. Bring
Good.
it on. I would love to go toe to toe with him, under oath and lie detectors and whatever that the court present. I have no problem with that at all. And matter of fact, there's a few people that have came forward to me and told me that if need be, they would come forward and they have information. I won't say that they're all victims, but there's several that have said they will come over and if it's needed, if it gets to that point, they're willing to go to court and tell their stories also. So I won't name any names or anything, but there's more than a few.
So there's more victims.
Well, there's victims and there is people that witness things that are willing to come forward. They've told me. So
Yeah, and truth is a defense, by the way. For anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. I'd love to be that attorney in the room during that deposition. That would be fantastic, actually. So,
yeah.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you feel is important, or other things that you would like to share that you feel comfortable sharing? Jeannie, we'll start with you.
I can't really think of anything specifically. There's obviously there's still a lot, but we touched on most of it, some of it.
Yeah, no, and I just think it's amazing that you had the courage and to say to yourself, I'm a survivor, and I'm going to keep moving on this for him, for you, for him, against him, because you deserve it. 37 years, and I have to be honest with you, from the first time we talked to tonight, I'm very proud of you, because the first time was very difficult. And by the way, I told you I have that one on tape here. Okay.
Yeah.
And if Donnie ever decides to do something stupid, well, we'll just play both of these, okay, in the courtroom. That'll be amazing. Okay, that'll be amazing.
Yeah, it's hard for me. I'm a really quiet person, and it's been difficult, but it's doable,
Yep.
if you have the support.
And you have over 13,000 people in the chat applauding you right now, tonight. This is just one piece of this puzzle of your strength, Jeannie. Over 13,000 people have been here going, justice for Jeannie, Jeannie strong. That's amazing. That is amazing. They love it. They love you. They love your story. They believe you. And I'm so grateful that your sweet daughter, Trish, came forward. And I think it was with T. Marie, right? Tiffany? Wasn't it with Tiffany? Didn't you speak with Tiff?
Well, originally it was actually with Whitney from True Crime Sisters, and she actually has been amazing through all of this and super supportive, and she helped both of us. She published both of our stories for us because we asked her to, and she's been wonderful. And then because of Whitney, Tiffany actually posted the video, and then I just happened to be on YouTube and seen it, and then I went on, and Tiffany has also been wonderful through all of this. There's so much love and support from both of them. We're really grateful, and so grateful to you, Chris, because for one, I think that you're gonna really help get justice for Summer, but also you have no idea how much you've impacted our lives and how much you've truly helped my mom. And I will forever be grateful for you for that.
Well, you're very kind, and I everything you just said, I'm lost for words. So, but I do love Tiffany and their channel over there, and those girls. They are smart women, and they have done so much. And like you, though, you need to be commended as in a way that the fact that you had the strength to come out and say, okay, bring it on here, bring it on. Okay.
I feel the same way. He can bring it on because everything that I have stated is true. I've witnessed so much. I witnessed so many things growing up with his older kids, and he can bring it on 100%. I will go to court all day long with him. Yep. I would love to be able to see him in court and all of that. I would love it.
Yeah, and what's really cool. Go ahead, Jeannie.
I was just saying, me too.
Yeah. So let's talk about another really cool part of your life. Okay, because of all of this horrendous experience that you've gone through, you have also successfully raised 4, am I right? 4 wonderful children.
5.
Are you talking to me?
Is it 3 or how many? 3?
Jeannie or Trish?
Jeannie. Well, Trish too. But Jeannie.
I have 5 kids.
5. And you broke the cycle and protected every one of them. And
I did. Tried.
That, yay. Okay. Yes. Okay. How cool is that? Okay. And how amazing is that? And Trish, now you have 3?
3 kids.
Okay. And you are doing the same. Okay. Now, here, the reason I say that is this. I have to get my notebook. Hang on. The trusty notebook. Okay. That's like 7. Okay. So I'm going to go through a quick genealogy lesson here for a second. Okay. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not counting you, Trish. Okay, I'm just talking about the sisters. Mm-hmm. There's Jeannie, Heidi, Sonia, Mary, Sherry, and Debbie. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. 4 of the 6 were victims of SA, either by Donnie or Kelly. The 2 olders, Debbie and Sherry, pretty much were out of the house.
Yeah.
4 of 6. Okay. Now, how does this relate to what we just cheered about? You women, and this is going to go in your book. You have to promise me.
Okay.
Okay. You have broken the cycle. And you know who gave you the courage to break the cycle? Summer.
Summer. Definitely.
That's why Summer is so important in this investigation that TBI, FBI, and the Sheriff's Department is doing, and why it's so important for people to hear your voice like thunder in this investigation. And Kelly was a stepfather of another marriage, correct?
Yeah. He was married to Donnie's biological mom.
Interesting, huh? So I wonder where Donnie learned it.
Yeah.
If anybody's wondering, I just gave you the answer. Okay? And that's why victimology is so important in these kind of cases. Summer actually changed your life without you knowing. You didn't know it at first, but tonight you're here, and other nights you've been here. Not here, but in your life, reflecting on that.
Yeah.
So let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. I want to thank each of you tonight from the bottom of my heart for being survivors and brave. And I know your focus will continue to stay on her, as will mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it will.
And if, as this progresses, maybe there will be other members of your immediate circle of family and friends that will come forward and empower themselves like you have empowered the world tonight.
I hope so.
You have empowered the world tonight. I can assure you of that. Okay? You changed my life. You've changed Karen's life. I know D-Man's in the background listening, and we applaud you and want you to know, that this is the time now for you and Trish, for you two women to embrace that power and keep moving in the right direction. Now, I don't want to be too personal, but have you sought counseling? And you don't have to answer. That's my wife would say, "Why did you ask that question?" Okay, I want to be sensitive and not ask that question. So, can I take it back? Okay, that's a private thing.
It's important.
Okay. You've empowered a lot. Trish, is there anything you want to share tonight that I didn't ask you that you feel is important?
I don't think so. I think I pretty much just shared what I needed to. I mostly just came on to help support my mom.
Yeah, you're like the daughter of the century. You're gonna get big points for your mom because she was really, really needed you. So that I'm very proud of you.
Well, she raised me, so it's her fault in this way.
Yes, exactly. All right. So one of the things I like to do, because I was lucky enough as a little boy, is I lived in Hawaii. So when we check off here, I like to tell people, "Are you ready to go to Hawaii?" Right. So I'm going to ask you two, are you women ready to go to Hawaii?
Definitely.
I'm ready.
Jeannie, you ready? Okay, this is the coolest. This is the coolest song. Dillan, are you ready to take us there? The whole point of the video. Dillan just sent me a text message. D-Man, let's go to. Oh, wait, he just reminded me. The whole point of the video, 40 minutes. Okay. See, that's why I have the back room. One guy. Okay. 40 minutes. The call came in at 6:23. The search and rescue was already in motion at 7:03. That is a 40-minute time frame approximately. Okay. What happened in those 40 minutes? What happened? Next video that we're going to jump into, or next conversation we're going to have in the next couple of days, we are going to break those minutes apart. And we're going to try to find some significant clues that will bring us towards summer. Okay. Dillan, thank you so much for reminding me of that. Okay. I'm grateful. I love that. I love that boy. We've been so blessed to have him in our life, Karen and I and our other 3 children. So, like you, we've raised 4, and so we're thankful. Now, are you ready to go to Hawaii?
Wait, I just want to say thank you to Chris, to you and Karen and everybody with all the support. Appreciate everything that you guys have done.
You're very
now
good.
I'm ready.
Okay. Trish, you ready?
Definitely ready.
Okay. D-Man, take us to Hawaii.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts, wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, yeah. Make special memories.